Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah. So after speaking about Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, next comes Lut, and it's mentioned in this order. But place in the Quran after Ibrahim alayhi salam, Lut alayhi salam is mentioned. As we said last time, Lut alayhi salam was the nephew of Ibrahim alayhi salam, and of course we all know the subhanallah, the people of Lut. And it's an important story for our time because somehow, somewhere, some people are trying to reinterpret it to, make homosexuality seem like it's all good. Subhanallah. So it's important to go straight to the Quran and make sure it's very crystal clear. This is not an issue that can be interpreted. Sorry, guys. Some things can have, more than one meaning or interpretation in the Quran or Sunnah. Other things are clear cut, like you can't really interpret. It's impossible. Okay, as you will see the verses, they're not possible to be reinterpreted. So Lut alayhi salam was with his uncle Ibrahim, traveled with him, and then Allah sent, and then he went and he lived with the people of Sodom. And this is, by the way, Sodom is the name of the city mentioned in the Bible. It's not mentioned in the Quran. Sodomy, the word sodomy is because of people of Lut. Kind of like, when we talk about homosexuality in Arabic, there's no word called homosexuality. We say, فعل أهل قوم لوط, like the actions of قوم Lut. And also sodomy, it's called sodomy because these guys were the first guys to do this. Okay. And this was a city on the west shores of the Dead Sea in Palestine. All right. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Lut alayhi salam, and he says, and remember Lut when he said to his people, you commit, innakum lata'tuna al-fahisha. You commit al-fahisha. And in this case, it's sodomy, which none, ma sabaqakum biha min ahad min al-alamin, which none has preceded you in committing it in all of mankind and jinns. Okay, so he's saying you're doing this action that nobody has ever done before you. This fahisha cannot be interpreted as, no, this fahisha is talking about rape, because rape has always happened. Can't be like this is the first time people were raping each other was at the time of Lut alayhi salam. No. That don't make sense. Okay? And so that's just one little point here, and there's going to be much more points. And then he says, he makes it, he goes on and says, Innakum lata'tuna rijal. He makes it very clear. Verily, you practice sodomy with men. Lata'tuna rijal. Okay, it's not an issue of rape. Okay? Because it's not like, okay, it'd be only bad if they rape men and it'd be okay if they rape women. Dude, it says, إِنَّكُمْ لَتَأْتُونَ الرِّجَالِ وَتَقْطَعُونَ السَّبِيلِ, and you rob the wayfarer, the travelers. وَتَأْتُونَ فِي نَادِيكُمُ الْمُنْكَرِ, and practice al-munkar, disbelief, polytheism, and other kinds of acts in your meetings. And scholars have mentioned what type of actions they would do, including having intercourse with each other openly, subhanallah. Okay, and in their meetings, another one that was mentioned, one of the Mufassirun mentioned, I forget which of the Mufassirun mentioned this, was that they used to fart in their meetings. Okay, they would just openly, pull my finger, kind of stuff, right? So they used to do that in their meetings. Okay, so they're like really messed up people. All right. Yes, Ali, I'm glad you found that one funny. So this claim that the people of Lut were destroyed because they raped men, it wasn't, mutual love and affection for each other, and that they raped men and they robbed travelers and were corrupt. No, dude, they were corrupt. They robbed travelers. They raped men and they approached men. Okay, and the words in Arabic are very clear. It doesn't say rape, they approach. Okay, and again, why would it be okay to rape women if it's talking about rape? No, it's talking about the act itself. Okay, let's go more and make this very crystal clear. Here's another set of verses, Surah An-Naml. Remember Lut when he said to his people, do you commit al-fahisha, أتأتون الفاحشة وأنتم تبصرون, while you see one another, while you see it, like you're doing it and you can, subhanAllah, you're not even hiding from one another. He goes on, makes it very clear. إنكم لتأتون الرجال شهوة من دون النساء. Bro, I don't know how much more clear that can be in any language on earth. Okay? Do you practice, even if you don't speak Arabic? Here, let me say it to you. You probably at least know رجال النساء, right? إنكم لتأتون الرجال شهوة من دون النساء. Do you have lusts? Do you practice your lusts on men instead of women? بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. No, you are a people who behave senselessly. This is messed up behavior. Okay, so it's clear that the objection is that they were practicing their lusts on men instead of on women. Here in Surah Al-Shu'ara, another ayah. Okay, this is not something that has been left ambiguous. Sorry, any modernists who's trying to reinterpret this. And by the way, reinterpreting clear-cut ahkam in the Quran, clear-cut verses in the Quran is kufr. Okay, something that is clear-cut, trying to reinterpret something that is this clear-cut is kufr. Okay, so أنكم تأتون الرجال وتذرون ما خلق لكم ربكم من أزواجكم. It's very, very, very clear. Okay. Oh, it wasn't rape, guys. It was not about rape. So, brother Abdullah, the reason I bring this issue of rape is the claim of some modernists that the issue was rape. The issue wasn't just rape. You will see later on they did attempt, and they did rape travelers, by the way. Okay, they also raped. They did raping, and they also just simply committed the fahisha as seen over here. But the modernists tried to say, oh, it was only rape. Okay, so here again, he says to them, he's saying to all the people, you go to your males, right? And you leave those whom Allah has created for you to be your wives. Okay, so your own wives, you leave them, you leave the women, you have no interest in them, and you go and do this to each other and to men. It's very clear. This here, these verses here right now is not talking about rape. Okay, it's not talking about rape, talking about just their homosexual acts. طيب. So the Quran makes it clear. This is not up for reinterpretation. It says, and we read it, this was practiced for the first time in history. Okay, this was the first time it was practiced. So telling me that it is genetic or not genetic, whatever, sorry, no, it's not genetic. All right. And by the way, scientific proof that it's genetic is not clear at all, and there are a lot of counter. There's any papers out there that says genetic. There are a lot of papers that says it's not. Okay. The action was seen as a fahisha, so the action itself, okay, is a fahisha, not the rape. Okay, the action with the same sex, and also being told to stop doing this and go approach your wives instead, right, shows that there is choice in fulfilling the desires. And so we have to so there's a choice. Okay, and it's you wouldn't be asked to do something if it was just something you cannot control. No, it's something that can be controlled, and that's why the Prophet came to them and told them to control their lusts and only fulfill it in a halal way with your wives. I hope it's very clear, because subhanallah, people trying to mess things up that are very, very, very clear cut. So as you can see, by the way, they also didn't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they worshipped others besides Allah. and there's another verse that talks about that. Now, what is his people's response? They don't. The responses, subhanallah, are more to do with this action and with Nuh alayhi salam. Their response was أخرجوا آل لوط من قريتكم. That was one of his response, was take Lut and his family out of your city. Drive them out. They are people who are trying to be clean and pure. Okay, him, his wife, his children, whoever, his family. SubhanAllah, didn't have many followers, as we can see. Was just pretty much his family. And he said, take them out. They're trying to be pure. SubhanAllah, you don't like our way of life, you don't want to join us, then get the heck out of here. Okay, so they tried to drive him out of the city. The second response, just like other people's responses, was bring on Allah's punishment. Bring on Allah's punishment. قالوا ائتنا بعذاب الله إن كنت من الصادقين. Bring on the punishment if you are truthful. So they were asking for the punishment. In another verse, okay, in Surah Al-Shu'ara, and this one here this is golden. This is, subhanallah, really a statement and a mindset we need to understand. Okay. He says, قَالَ إِنِّي لِعَمَلِكُم مِّنَ الْقَالِينَ. He said, I am indeed of those who disapprove, 100%, disapprove with anger, with fury, this evil action. This action is evil, I disapprove of it. Now, subhanAllah, we are, people who are minority, living in different countries as minority Muslims. And we're scared to even say that this is an evil action, or that it's, immoral in my faith, because it's come to that level where even if we say it's immoral and ethical, evil can be seen as homophobic. All right, it's our time and it's our test, but let's not pretend our situation is worse than Lut alayhi salam, who had nobody except his family. He had nothing, and he was being threatened to be killed, to be kicked out of the town, etc. And still, under all of that pressure and minority and whatever he was in, he still was firm that this is an action that I disapprove of, and it's an action that is evil. Okay, so we can't go less than saying this action is evil. Okay, this is something that we cannot change our religion or be shy about it if we're asked about it. This action is evil, it's immoral, it's not in line with what the Creator has brought forth or that the Creator has approved. This is something that the Creator has labeled as evil. I believe in the Creator and I believe in God's words, and therefore I'm judging it based on that. Okay? And I'm not going to go through science and not science with you. Anyways. And then he says, he makes a dua which we all need to make. Lut makes this dua which we all need to make. رَبِّ نَجِّنِي وَأَهْلِي مِمَّا يَعْمَلُونَ. O Allah, O my Lord, save me and my family from what they do. If this is prevalent, this is all over the place, then it can enter your family. It can, impact your family. And we see in Surah Lut, subhanallah, his wife was impacted. He's making dua to Allah to protect him and his family, and his wife is actually impacted and joins in the ideology, at least to say the least, and the mindset, and helps her people with the guests of Nuh alayhi salam, which is the story that we're going to mention. So what happens? He asked Allah to save him and to protect him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now sends angels. These angels go and visit Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim doesn't know that they're angels initially, finds out they're angels after he offered them food and they refused to eat the food, and then he got scared. how could anyone refuse food who's a traveler? And he gave them like the best amazing meat, 5 out of 5 camel meat, nice, barbecued, crisp, right? Offered the best thing he had to his guests, and they didn't eat. So he knew there's something. He got scared actually, like, what are these people? And then they said, don't be scared, we are sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They gave him the news of the birth of his son Ishaq, and then they told him, we've been sent to destroy the people of Lut. And Ibrahim alayhi salam was vouching, hold on. How are you going to destroy that town? Lut is in it. My nephew, the believer, the prophet, Lut is in that town. That was what he was afraid of. He says, إِنَّا مُنَجُّوهُ وَأَهْلَهُ إِلَّا امْرَأَتَهُ كَانَتْ مِنَ الْغَابِرِينَ. We will protect him. We will save him and his family, except his wife, who was of those same troublemakers. Okay? So, as they entered, they were on the outskirts of Sodom. It is reported, and Ibn Kathir has a nice, the story is very nicely written in Ibn Kathir. One of the daughters of Lut alayhi salam, who was trying to get water from the river, sees these men, and she's mesmerized by who are these men. At the same time, she sees how handsome and beautiful these men are, and she's a believer, and she's scared for them right away. She knows how her town is, and she's like, what are you guys doing here? What do you want? And they just pretended to be travelers, like, we're just travelers. We're just, passing by. Can we get a place to rest, where we can go? And she's like, oh, hold on right over here. Please wait. Don't go anywhere. And she was scared what would happen to them. So she ran to her father, said, oh, my father, there are travelers and they're men and they're really handsome. Please go to them before somebody else sees them. And Lut alayhi salam was really scared what would happen. Because remember, we can see from the story that if anyone would come, these people would go after them and would rape them. Okay? So he went to them quickly, tried to ask about what they're doing, etc. Tried to give them warnings. This town is really messed up. He was conflicted. He didn't want to tell them, there's no one here. Go, I will not host you, because he still had this in him that he wants to host his guests. At the same time, he wants to protect them. So he said, look, just stay here until nighttime. I'll come and get you so no one sees you. So he comes back secretly at night, takes them secretly into his house. Who sees and finds out? His wife. So his wife sneaks out, and his wife goes and tells a few guys, yo, dudes, there are some hot guys in my house. I don't know how she said it. I'm just trying to, whatever she said, right? There's some really cool, handsome boys in my house. Come get some, whatever it is, right? SubhanAllah, right? And so they all get excited. Oh, we need some fresh meat. We got some fresh meat in the town, right? So the news goes around. They go around telling each other, yo, Lut's got some hot guys in his house. Let's go. So they come and they're knocking on the door, and they're trying to smack the door, and Lut alayhi salam locks the door, and he's so scared for his guests to be harmed. And he tells them, these are my guests. Fear Allah. Don't dishonor me with regards to my guests, right? And they're like, we told you, we warned you, you cannot protect anyone. You cannot, I'm laughing at the comments. You cannot, protect anyone. We warned you, right? And he says, هؤلاء بناتي إن كنتم فاعلين. By the way, the Quran, and I don't want to go through all these verses, but all these verses are mentioned. The story is mentioned in the Quran, right? And these guys came, they were drunk. Like, they were drunk from their lusts. they're coming like, oh my God, boys, whatever it is, right? These guys, Allah describes them, لَعَمْرُكَ إِنَّهُمْ لَفِي سَكْرَتِهِمْ يَعْمَهُونَ. Okay? They were like totally, all right, totally intoxicated. Okay? وَجَاءَ أَهْلُ الْمَدِينَةِ يَسْتَبْشِرُونَ. The inhabitants of the city came rejoicing of the news of these young men's arrival. Right? Okay, like worse than animals. Okay, there were animals plus lusts plus like they were gonna go to have a crazy party. Okay, so they kept at it, and Lut alayhi salam says, هؤلاء بناتي إن كنتم فاعلين. These girls of my nation, and you have to really don't take the Arabic literal over here, otherwise you're gonna mess it up. All right. The Arabic literal is, these are my daughters if you are going to commit the action. Okay, but that's not what it means. He means the daughters, he means the girls of the nation, because he's a prophet. And so all the women of his nation are his daughters. So it's metaphoric. These are my daughters, these are the women, right? Take them as wives. He's saying, please go ahead and approach them through legal means. Again, if this was just about rape, how could a prophet go and tell them, don't rape men, go and rape women? All right? So it's not an issue of just rape. It's not saying, okay, please don't rape these men. Please go ahead and rape women. No. Okay? Saying don't approach these. Please go and marry the woman whom Allah has given you to be your wives, and fulfill your lusts in a halal way. طيب. So they refused. They broke the door in, actually, and Lut alayhi salam was praying and wishing that he had strength. قال لو أن لي بكم قوة أو آوي إلى ركن شديد. If only I had strength, or I had strong people who can help me. The angel said, قالوا يا لوط إنا رسل ربك. We are the messengers of your prophet. We are prophets of Allah. We are messengers. We are angels. They're not going to touch you or touch us. And ayah says, فَطَمَسْنَا أَعْيُنَهُمْ. So we caused their eyes to get blinded in that moment. All right? And they ran away. But they were still transgressing. We'll come back. We'll come back in the morning. Your guests aren't going nowhere. We're going to come back for you. Subhanallah. So the angels tell Lut alayhi salam, you need to leave before the morning. فأسر بأهلك بقطع من الليل ولا يلتفت منكم أحد إلا امرأتك. Go, get out at night, take your people, take your family quickly, let nobody turn back except your wife. إنه مصيبها ما أصابهم. Verily she will get what they will get. إن موعدهم الصبح أليس الصبح بقريب. Indeed, their appointment for destruction is the morning. Indeed, the morning is very near. فَجَعَلْنَا عَالِيَهَا سَافِلَهَا. So we made the highest points of the town the lowest. What does that mean? وَأَمْطَرْنَا عَلَيْهَا حِجَارَةً مِّن سِجِّيلٍ مُسَوَّمَةً عِنْدَ رَبِّكَ. And we sent upon it rain of stone clay, destined individually for each person. Another place, فَأَخَذَتْهُمُ الصَّيْحَةُ. And here, so a sayha, torment, awful cry, took them. Scholars say there was no town that was destroyed as badly as Qawm Lut. The town of Qawm Lut had the worst torments. What is this interpretation of the highest place became the lowest place? Some say it was there was the earthquake. It was so violent that it literally flipped the whole town up and down, right? There was the storm rain came onto them, and the whole town flipped upside down through an earthquake. Some Mufassirun say actually Jibreel alayhi salam himself picked up the town with his wing and lifted it up all the way into the heavens. And they were thrown with rain of stone. And then the town was brought back face down and smashed right down. All right. So it was the worst torment, the worst destruction, so severe that there's no remnants of Sodom. Okay. It's that town there's no even remnants of it. There is remnants of Ad and Thamud, but not of Lut. It's the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea area is the lowest part in the world, subhanallah, because of this flipping upside down of this town. Indeed, there in this a sign for the believers. There is a sign for the believers. What these guys did, subhanallah. Lut alayhi salam went back and to Ibrahim, who was living not too far, visited him, told him about what happened. He was surprised to know that Ibrahim had already known this destruction would happen, because the prophets had come by. And so he stayed with Ibrahim and continued to call people to La ilaha illallah with doesn't seem much success. Yet he died again, just like other prophets, continuing to call people to La ilaha illallah. And again, you can see in here, La ilaha illallah is not just a belief, but it's a belief that entails actions, submission, obedience. So all of our lives, all of our lusts, desires, do's and don'ts must be in line with what Allah has brought. And thus we have this example in front of us of Allah destroying people severely for their crimes, for their actions, one of which was this act. May Allah save us all from it and protect us. Ameen. Sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Brother Jamil has his hand up. Please go ahead if you have a question.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I just wanted to clarify something. So,
yes,
if a homosexual person says that it wasn't their choice and they have zero attraction towards women and they're only attracted towards men, I guess they're lying in a sense.
No. Okay, so there's two things. Look, lusts, desires can develop in different ways. Okay. Just like a person, and I know people hate when we do this comparison, but they might have lusts for animals, okay? Or even worse, if they have lust for children, okay? Can they say, oh, look, it's not my fault. I just have lust for children. That's me, all right? I can't do it. No. No one would accept that. Society would not accept that. Say, no, dude, you're horrible. You're a pedophile. You're going to go to jail, right? So it's like, it's a lust. Now, if they have it, we don't need to go into where did it come from, how did it develop, were you born with it, not born with it? By the way, that's a whole discussion itself. We just say you're responsible for the actions, not your lusts. You get it? Look, if the person has lusts, and there are people who might legitimately, sincerely have lusts for the same gender, dude, you have it, you just can't practice it. You just can't act upon it. That's the main thing. You can't act upon those lusts, just like a married man who might have lust for another woman who he's not married to. It can happen. But as long as he's not saying anything, doing anything, and he's trying to avoid it, saying A'udhu Billah, he's not going to be accounted. If a person has lust for the same sex, as long as they're trying to avoid it, not talk about, not doing it, not follow any steps towards it, inshallah, that Allah will actually reward them, because now they're fighting their lusts. We all fight our lusts, man. Whether you're straight or you're not straight, you're always fighting your lusts. Whether you're single or married, you have to fight your lusts. okay, and only can fulfill it in a halal way. Done. Okay, so please don't go and tell people, yo, you're lying, you cannot have this lust, you're just blah blah blah. No, 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 they might have it. Okay, how did it develop? SubhanAllah, when the whole society is pushing this, it can develop. When now every show you watch, there's the stuff in it. It can develop. طيب? Fine. It developed, you cannot fulfill it. That's what Islam wants from you, not to fulfill it. And that's why there isn't even a name for somebody who has lusts for it. And this society gives them an identity, not just a name. Islam, there's no even name. Somebody who has those desires, there's no name for them. There's only a name for the action, not even for the lust. Okay? So I hope that's clear. Sister Danielle? Sister Danielle, you have your hand up?
Salam. Okay, so I know I know a lot of like Muslim brothers and sisters do not talk about this homophobic topic with their children, to let them know just how wrong it is, like how like it's not normal, like it's not a part of what we're supposed to be doing, you know?
Yeah.
So like, and unfortunately I don't know if I'm a little bit extreme, but I told my kid, you know, like this is not okay. And it shouldn't be a thought at all that it's wrong, right? And like I wouldn't even know how to deal with my kid if he told me he was a homo. I'd probably like I wouldn't even know what to do, to kick him out and say I don't want nothing to do with you anymore, or
no, we don't want to do that, because then khalas, they're gone forever, right?
Okay.
We need to know how to speak with them, and you know, let's not throw people into hellfire for a sin. This still is sin. It becomes kufr if they argue that it is halal and normal and it's not a sin. That's where it becomes a kufr. If they're just committing it knowing it's a sin, it's a sin. So let's not give up on people who might have this sin, that might, can be guided, right? And for our children, we do need to be careful that they don't, say things that are not appropriate, like, I want to kill gays, or gays should die, or anything like that. Wallahi, that's wrong Islamically too, not just societally, because you're not supposed to say, I want to kill blah blah. No, none of that. Okay, it's just something wrong. It's a sin, and it's something unethical, immoral, something that God has forbidden. And that's it. When you just like look, just like it's forbidden, even to make it something that they can understand, simple. Look, God, we have these desires as human beings. God showed us a halal way to fulfill it. Anything outside of that is wrong.
Yeah.
Make it even as simple as that.
Yeah.
Why are people being gay and not gay and all this stuff? Like, look, it's a free society. So people, it's all about following your lusts. How are you going to tell people to not fulfill their lusts in this way or that, based on a kufr society that doesn't believe in God, and everything is up for, morality and ethics is something that changes from time to time, year to year. Before it was something wrong, 30 years ago was something that was unethical, and now it's something cool. Well, because society doesn't have a standard, a moral compass.
Yeah.
It's just whatever happens. So yeah. How do we explain to non-Muslims why homosexuality is bad? I would really connect it to Tawheed, guys. Connect it to Allah is our creator. Allah is the one who tells us how to live life, and what is ethical, immoral, and not ethical, immoral. He told us explicitly, and that's why we have it in all religions, that to fulfill your desires is to go through your spouses, your wives, from the opposite gender, and that's it. Go really connected to God. Don't try to prove it to them scientifically and all of that stuff. You're not going to have much success.
Like this is like a really touchy subject.
It is.
Because we get called extremists and we're this and we're
Yeah,
that
yeah.
and just.
And the best way is to really go through a
Akbar.
faith-based, Quran-based, God-based model, because then if
Mhm.
they hate you, then they're being also prejudiced against religion and
Mhm.
against belief. So just say, look, this is what God said. This is what the Prophet said. This is what my beliefs are.
Mhm.
And again, you can also go emphasize the action, not the feelings, guys. It's important. Emphasize the action, not the feelings. Okay, that you're responsible for the actions, not the feelings. Just so that they understand you're not being condemned just for having same-sex attraction. No, you have to control it and only fulfill it in a way that God allowed us to fulfill it. May Allah help us. طيب. Okay, guys, it's 7:08. Pray this was something beneficial and helpful and a good reminder, inshallah. May Allah bless you all. Jazakumullah khairan.